do it right the first time. Well, in my infinite wisdom, I neglected to record a lot of the work that I just did. So let me show you. So what we have here is I've gone through, I cut the back end off the knife as I showed previously. I put in my drill holes that I wanted. I'm going to put a central dowel here that isn't going to show, and then I'm going to put pins on either side of that. Now the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to take my brass pins and I'm going to lay them against my steel there, and I'm going to divot them so that they won't actually fit all the way through the steel. My pins go all the way through easily. Alright, I don't know how this managed to be the case, but they do. In theory, the drill bit that I used to drill these was just slightly smaller than the brass pins that I have, but my assumption is that perhaps my drill bit is bent a little bit, so it ended up cutting just slightly larger. I'll lay them against the edge of my anvil and just give them a little convincing. And now what should happen, provided I can do this, is they won't quite fit. We've run into a problem. Nothing that can't be fixed, but a pain all the same. You see, our knife is not flat, and as a result of our knife not being flat, if you look inside of there, you can see the gaps in between the blade and the scales, and then on this side it's flat on. Alright, you can see a little gap in there at the top that I can probably clamp that right on out. Here's the real gold, though. Sawdust that matches the wood. Good stuff. You don't want to breathe in dust from this, I promise. And it's pretty hard to sand this once the knife's already together. Alright, let's try our scales again. Boy, I can't really see my mark I made on this, which is somewhat of a problem. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can scratch in another one, just so I can make sure I know which scale goes where. I realize that seems like a simple problem to have, but a problem all the same. Well, folks, I'm going to say that works. That works right there. So the scales now don't seesaw. The fit looks like it'll be pretty tight, especially once I glue these up. The fit should be pretty good indeed. Alright, so they should line up pretty nice. The way I like to do this is I get a little piece of cloth like this. Not a whole lot, in other words, because I don't want to waste a lot of this fluid. I mean, the fluid is not expensive, but I also don't like to waste it. So what we're going to do is we're going to wet our cloth. Alright, got this set up with a little bitty hole on both sides. Kind of pour until I saturate my little cloth here. Once it's good and saturated, I can get to work. So away we go. Enjoy the process. It's like one of the coolest things. The goal is just a good wet coat. Alright? A good wet coating on the steel, and you're making progress. Alright, so going to get some good hot water going here. And you'll see that I put baking soda just all over this knife. This is also covered in dishwashing detergent. So dishwashing detergent and baking soda in a slurry. What that's going to do is it's going to neutralize the chemicals that I've already placed on here. And keep the sink clean so my wife doesn't murder me. The time has come. I have replaced my pins. And now we have scales. They're a little smooth, a little dirty, a little smooth. So what I'm going to do is, I've got the coarsest sandpaper I've got. This is a nice 60 grit. What this is going to do is it's going to give us a little bit of a key for the glue to bite into that we're about to use, this epoxy. The way that I use it is quite simplistic. I'm going to lay myself down a little pad to work on, something that I can just throw right away later. Alright, that should be plenty of space. Okay. To clamp this down. So we're going to clamp it here on that end. We're going to clamp it here on this end. I've got to stick a piece of wood in there and make that into one solid bit. And we're going to scrape some epoxy up and just smear it all over our wooden wedge. Yeah. Just like that. Just, you know, getting it all over the place here, making a mess. And now I'm going to stick this in my little gap I've got here. Perfect. When I come back and trim this up, boy, it's going to look good. I'll go ahead and put this third one on there. Might as well. Yeah, why not? That'll work. Okay, so now we are really cooking. Gonna let this cure, give it an overnight, and then come back in the morning and hope for the best. With any luck, it's going to be rock solid, and all I've got to do is rough out the handle, you know, kind of get it where it needs to be. The steel of the knife will guide where that goes, so it won't be that complicated. And then really pretty up the handle, make it nice, and then decide if I'm going to do any engraving or not on this thing, and then put a finish on it, or finish, put the edge on it. And man, I'm pretty happy. That's going to turn out. That is going to turn out, folks. Look at the shape on that. Oh my gosh. And that's where I'm leaving it tonight. Here's another 5 or 6 hours of work. Oh boy. Alright, cool. Sayonara.